Hey guys, Eternize here. Today we're going to talk about the best habits that you can adopt as a music producer in 2026. These are habits that are going to boost your production speed, your production efficiency, and overall help you make better music. It's a mix of mental habits and productivity habits, and then actual practical habits inside the DAW. Let's get into it. Number 1 is take more breaks. You've heard this one before. You need to take breaks when you make music to avoid ear fatigue. Well, isn't that just something people say? What even is ear fatigue? Okay, let me break this down because this one is very real. You experience ear fatigue in two ways. There's the actual physical ear fatigue where your ears literally adapt. And so if you've been exposed to a lot of high frequencies, for example, you no longer hear the highest of highs anymore. And then there is the fatigue where you lose the ability to hear your track objectively. These things are very real. It happens to all of us. It's unavoidable, right? It's the adaptability built into our bodies, and it should not be underestimated. I've underestimated it for like 90% of my career in music, and looking back at the setbacks this has caused, I really wish that I'd had taken advice like this more seriously. Tell me if you recognize this scenario. You make music for like 8 hours straight with minimal breaks, and in the moment you feel like things are progressing, but then the day after, when you audit the export that you did at the end of the session and you compare that to the export before the session started, you are actually more happy with the before export. This was me for years, and I don't want that to happen to you. This could 100% have been avoided, at least partly, if I'd been better at taking breaks and resetting my ears and objective sense. And right now we're talking about short-term breaks. There's even the concept of long-term breaks, where if you really want to reset your objective perspective on a track, you need to take days or even weeks off from touching that track. And that too is very real. It's not just talk. The thing is, taking a 10-minute break on paper may just look like you're taking 10 minutes away from producing. But what you gain from that 10-minute break is hours of better mixing decisions, better perspective, more creativity. So not only are you winning back those 10 minutes, you're winning so much more on top of that. Now let's talk about what I recommend you do. Here's what I do. So I actually bought this little timing device. There is a reason I don't just use my phone. We're getting back to that later. But this can go up to 99 minutes. I press it once and it starts counting. And when it gets to 0, it beeps like crazy. Now, what do I use my breaks on? Anything but listening to music. This is the time to give your ears a break. So take a walk, do some push-ups, make a coffee. Don't export your music and listen to it, not even to do it on a different device. This defeats the whole purpose. You want as little input as possible. Ideally, you want to take at least 5-minute breaks, but longer is probably better to really reset. And you want to do that every 1 to 2 hours. Trust me, this is the single best return on investment you can make when making music. It costs nothing and it only has positive outcomes. Number 2. Let's talk about that phone. Your phone is a distraction. Of course, that's not exclusive to making music. It's a distraction from anything in life, from business, from being productive. But I really found it to be a hard distraction with making music. Apart from the notifications popping up every minute, by habit, I look at it every 10 minutes and go to social media for no reason other than it being a habit. And I've been detoxing this for years, so I know that my case is not as bad as some of yours. This takes away focus, it takes away time, and it fuels bad habits when it comes to music production. Here's what I've started to do, and it really makes a difference. Toss your phone away. Get rid of it. Not in the sense that I want you to live without a phone, but you're probably making music in your bedroom with your bed nearby. So toss it on your bed. Get it out of sight so you don't shift focus every time a notification pops up. Or like me, pull it out every 10 minutes for no reason. Looking at your phone is reserved for your breaks, as we just discussed. This is the time to do it, not while you're making music. And to the point I made before, why I don't use my phone to time my breaks, this is why. That would encourage me to have my phone nearby, which I try to avoid. So instead, I have this physical device that does nothing but count time. And I think that really helps. Once again, this is one of the highest yielding returns with no effort and no cost. And you can implement it right away. Number 3, let's talk about some production habits that I think we can all get better at. Let's stop mindlessly applying effects by default. Here I'm not talking about effects that are required to achieve a specific goal. It's more about the effects that you're applying because somebody told you to or because of bad habits. Think of high cutting, low cutting, applying compression to everything. Moves you're not thinking about critically, but you're making because of X reason. Maybe there isn't an actual reason, and that's what we need to talk talk about. I think we all need to take a step back at times and say, do I really need to high cut this sound? If there's no other sounds competing for space, maybe it's fine to leave the high end as it is. So that's the first one. Actually have a reason for the moves you're making. If you can't answer the question, why am I making this move? It's probably better to leave it. Next, stop using Stereomakers. This is a category of plugins that are designed to create stereo information out of a mono signal. These plugins are popular because understanding and producing a balanced stereo field is challenging, especially for producers starting out. This aspect of music really is a struggle. Stereomakers somewhat make that process easier, because by turning one knob, now you can make any sound wide and impressive. The problem is, this is badly misused. Very often, the result is simply too much stereo information. And as I've stated in my free mixing ebook, if everything is wide, nothing is wide. The tracks where Stereomakers are used, they lack balance, right? You need the contrast between narrow and wide. And even in the tracks where it is somewhat balanced, the stereo produced by these Stereomakers, it's a fake sounding stereo. You get this hollow feeling, almost as if the space in the track is turned inside out. So my advice is to learn how to create a stereo field without the use of these plugins. There are so many effects and techniques you can use instead that will give you a better sounding mix. The transition period is gonna suck, but I promise you it will be worth it. Next, I want to talk about reference tracks. I think reference tracks has been the single most impactful tool in my music career. Let me explain. So, as you may know, I've never received any training in music. I've never took any courses. I never watched YouTube videos. I got my knowledge from trial and error and a shit ton of analyzing reference tracks. I would never know what I know today if I didn't have reference tracks from where I could pull information. So this is how I use reference tracks. I like to talk about macro and micro. With reference tracks, macro is the traditional sense where I load a professional track to compare the overall balance, width, levels, and so on. But micro is where I compare and analyze specific elements down to minute details. And this is where it goes from being a comparison tool to a learning tool. I think both use cases are super important. And if you don't have at least a couple of reference tracks in each of your projects, I think you're missing out. Number 4. Accept bad ideas quickly and move on. This one is quite simple. You're not going to create S-tier stuff all the time. In fact, that rarely happens. And you want to spend your time on the stuff that actually moves the needle, not the stuff that nobody's going to hear and doesn't get you anywhere. And so whenever you start a new project, as early as possible, you need to ask yourself the question, is this worth working on? I would say within the first hour or two, you can tell whether your project has enough substance to continue working on it. That can be a good melody, a good lead setup, a good bass for a kick, but sometimes, a lot of times, you just didn't hit it. And you need to realize this and move on. I have hundreds of trashed projects that didn't go anywhere. And in the past, I probably spent too much time on these projects because maybe there was something. But in reality, this time would have been better spent on the projects that actually mattered. So accept that not every project is a success. Realize it quickly and spend more time on the projects that matter. Alright guys, that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Upload your demo on my website, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.